to thank all the SES workers here. I've had the privilege with Jenny to meet this morning and say thank you. It has been an absolutely torrential week out here in Western Sydney, not just here but further along the river, where I had the opportunity early this week to get that aerial view and speak to some of those on the ground up there at the Richmond RAF base, where the water was lapping at the gates. And this has been quite a period of traumatic weather events. And what we've seen, though, as you've just seen from those we've met here, whether it's Mike or whoever taking us through the drills, this is what our agencies train for, so that in moments of great crisis, they can act. And as I was saying all through the week, and the Premier's been saying the same thing, we have the most professional, well-trained volunteers and professional people working in these organisations, and their skills have just shone through over the course of this past week. Their leadership, their management, their organisation, just getting the job done here when people needed the most. And it might be blue skies here today in Western Sydney, but the job is still going on the ground as we move into the clean-up phase. Assessors are out there even as we speak, and people are starting to work again with how businesses, particularly the producers in this region, need to be able to get back up on their feet. Yesterday I announced with the Premier that we'll be introducing those $75,000 Category D assistance grants, joint funded 50-50 with the state government, shouldering this burden together. Up to $50,000 in grants. I'm going to stress these are grants for small businesses directly impacted by these flood events. After speaking to one of the owners of a small business up in near Port Macquarie yesterday, what also became clear to me was that there are businesses who are looking to rebuild quickly, and I know they've told me they're going to be looking for support from their banks and for finance to do that, to get back up on their feet. And so I spoke to the Treasurer yesterday, and we're able to get it done overnight, that we'll be extending those new loan products that we have already announced. These are these $5 million loans for businesses up to $250 million in turnover, which has 2 years nothing to pay, 10-year loan terms. They will be extended into the flood-affected areas as well. Now, that's being done through the banks. We underwrite 80% of those loans. And this is about backing the businesses and producers that are backing themselves to get back on their feet. Yes, the grants will be there, but in addition to that, the other things that they'll be needing to attract capital for, working with the banks, working with the government, working with our flood assistance and recovery teams, whether it's Shane Stone's agency, who did such a magnificent job on supporting communities through the drought and the floods up in North Queensland. They're coming on deck now to support these communities, whether it's here in the Hawkesbury or all the way up through the mid-north coast where I was yesterday. For a lot of these producers and a lot of these businesses, it's about sitting around the same table and working out their individual plan to get their business back on its feet. And that's how we did it in North Queensland, station by station, business by business. And that's how the recovery is going to occur here. So we're into the clean-up phase now, sharing that, whether insured or uninsured, that clean-up process being run by the state government, the responsibility shared by the federal government, those grants to support small businesses and producers, and many of which in this district here and beyond affected by the Hawkesbury flooding. And then on top of that, providing that further financial assistance through the banks. We learnt this in previous floods. Much better for them to be working through the banks they're already got facilities with. And these loans can be used for any number of purposes. They can be unsecured or otherwise. And that's just another tool in the kit that we want to make sure that is there for our recovery operators coming in and working with the communities to get these things done. But right here and now, we learned that the insurance assessors are starting to get in. That's really important. This time last week, Melissa was sending me texts and photos, updating me constantly on what was happening. The sandbags were being filled, and the community was coming together. And the community here in Western Sydney, as always, has come together. I know Melissa is incredibly proud of what they've done. I know Marise Payne, the Foreign Minister and Minister for Women, but also a local resident out here, and Stuart, her partner, I should say, both on the ground here working and supporting the community. So I want to thank them very, very much for all their work. But there'll be more support, there'll be more assistance. But now we plan the recovery and we back the plans of people on the ground about how they're going to rebuild.